How serious is this?
We have to remember, Israel withdrew from Gaza unconditionally in 2005. And they are reacting to rocket attacks that have been launched out of Gaza. So the problem is, can those rocket attacks be stopped? And then they will have to stop their military operations. It's a complicated situation, but it's one that I believe will be solved, because if peace is to evolve in the Middle East, Israel has to take its responsibilities, but the moderate Arab nations have to take responsibility for the conduct of Israel's neighbors.
Do you believe that this is, some people say that everything will stop a few days before the Obama inauguration, that this is all very politically motivated? Do you think that's true?
I think it's a continuing process. The fundamental problem is, can Gaza conduct itself in a way that it is not a military threat to Israel? Then there will have to be a negotiation eventually, and soon, between Israel and the Palestinians about an overall peace settlement.
What do you think the most important thing is for Barack Obama? Obviously, you're here to talk about the anniversary for U.S.-China diplomatic relations, but if you had to say this is going to be the country or the conflict or the place that will define the Obama administration, what would it be?
The president-elect is coming into office at a moment when there are upheavals in many parts of the world simultaneously.
Listen to it.
You have India, Pakistan. You have the jihadist movement. So he can't really say there is one problem that is the most important one. But he can give a new impetus to American foreign policy, partly because the reception of him is so extraordinary around the world. I think his task will be to develop an overall strategy for America in this period when really a new world order can be created. It's a great opportunity. It isn't such a crisis.
Great opportunity to bring in a new world order. That's how the administration of Barack Obama was started, by one of the chief dogs in the Illuminati, Henry Kissinger, telling everybody, we're going to get her going. We're going to get the New World Order going. Here we go right here. I believe the New World Order is on its way. I believe it's coming. And I don't just believe that because Kissinger said it, because it's on the back of the $1 bill, because of anything, because George Bush said it. I believe it because these ideas and these principles are clearly laid out for us in the Scriptures, in the Bible. Let me read something to you. Let's just open it up, shall we? And I had all kinds of, let me just throw this in here. Turn to 1 Corinthians 10. Turn to 1 Corinthians 10. Here Susan sent me this article here. Debate continues on gay participation in Boy Scouts. Here's what you do. You see things like this, you think of what's in the Bible. Does it talk about things like this in the Bible? Does it talk about a time when the Sodomites are going to be running everywhere? Yeah, go look at Sodom. Go look at who showed up. Go look at who showed up at Lot's house. The Boy Scouts and their scout leaders showed up at Lot's house. You don't believe me? Go back and look. It said that the men of Sodom, young and old, came and showed up in Lot's house. One of the angels, come on, bring them out. That's this right here. This is that which was spoken by the prophets, saying. And then you tell people what the Bible says. And apparently the Boy Scouts here the other day just voted in to say, you know what? We don't see a problem in the world with your 9-year-old sons, your 8-year-old sons going out on a campground, skipping down to their underwear and sleeping in a tent with a homosexual. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it. Oh, now you don't think that just because they're gay they want little boys, do you? Yeah. Yeah, because that's what it says in the Bible. In Sodom, the Scoutmasters and the Cub Scouts showed up at Lot's house. That's Scripture. There is no way in the world that I'm letting my son join the Boy Scouts. Not going to happen. I'll teach him how to make spears out of a pocket knife by myself. I know how to do that one. And then here, this is from the Daily Local. I couldn't tell if she wanted me to read this article. On the back said pivotal votes on Colorado gun control measures or ads out of the closet in the mainstream with gay themes. Take a look at this ad. See if I can get this up on the screen here for you. Let me do it like this here. There we go. Here's to his and his beach towels. See, this is the New World Order. That's what this is. That's the New World Order. Turning everything upside down. Psalm chapter 2. Let us break their bands asunder. The marital bond, the union between a man and a woman being the most sacred thing on planet Earth because it shows the Lord and His church now being broken asunder and casting those cords from us. And who wanted that? The kings of the earth. They're the ones who took counsel together against the Lord and against His anointed. That's the goal of the New World Order. And so if you want to just ignore whether or not the 19-year-old ran away with his backpack still on his back, if you just want to ignore that, you can't. Look beyond what you see right now. Do it with scriptural eyes. And look beyond at what's coming down the road. We already have Department of Homeland Security. We've already talked about that. Janet DePaula and all of these other ones. George Bush started it right after 9/11 with the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act was intended to do away with some of these other government agencies that were actually trying to... You have to ask yourself the question. Since the Patriot Act, do we now have less illegal immigration into the country or more? Ask the question. Is there less or is there more? Now, I got a really good email from a guy. He said, Pastor Mike, I love you. I watch your videos, appreciate your stand. And he said, I love you. He said, I'm from Mexico. And he said, I work the fields out here. And he said, I pick the stuff. And he said, me and my countrymen, some of them are here legally, some of them are here not. He said, but that doesn't seem to matter to the people, number one, who are paying our wages, number two, who are taking the payroll taxes out of their checks, even if they're illegal aliens. He said, they're just keeping it. And he said, that doesn't seem to matter to them. And he said, we're out here sweating, working, and picking all of you Americans' food because you've decided you're too good to go out and get your hands dirty like that, and your children don't want to work. They want to sit around and go, while me and my children are trying to make ends meet picking your vegetables. And I went, I like this guy. So I appreciate that. So I'm not against it. But here's the thing. Has illegal, not legal, illegal immigration gotten worse since the Patriot Act? The answer is yes. Do we now see that we are more in danger now than we were before the Patriot Act? Absolutely. So it seems to me that the Patriot Act is not really interested in examining who's coming into the country as a threat, more so than who's in the country already, meaning you and I. It's not about protecting Americans from international terror. It seems to be more about protecting Washington, D.C. and the government from Americans who have had enough. And we're not there yet. But there will come a time when Americans will have had enough. So it seems more to me that the Department of Homeland Security is more about wanting to know what we're doing than anybody else is doing. And then this has been brought up before, and this is fact. The FBI has probably done more to create foreign terrorist threats in this country since 9/11 than before. And we know for a fact that the World Trade bombing took place in 1993 was an FBI covert activity that went bad. We know that for a fact. And we also know for a fact that there's been the news loves to come out with said the FBI saved America. They found a bomb. They were watching these guys, and the problem is the FBI recruited these guys and trained them. And then right before they're ready to blow these things up, they got caught. That's the truth of it. So, and we already know that 2 years ago, the oldest brother of these bombers was interviewed by who? The FBI. And what happened? Nothing. They had questions. There was concerns. Something about this guy isn't right. So they went and talked to him for a while. Not only did they not do anything, he goes all the way back to Chechnya, which is the hotbed for non-Arabic Muslim extremism. Goes back there for, 6 months, something like that, and then comes back, and it's like his eyes are all, I'm exaggerating here, his eyes are all aglaze, and all of a sudden now he's wanting to make bombs, and he's making a bunch of them. This is what we know is going on. And the FBI did not protect us from that. In fact, you can ask the legitimate question based upon their previous activities. Did they know about this? You remember Timothy McVeigh? The FBI knew about Timothy McVeigh, and they also knew that a major event was going to take place in a government building, and they had a pretty good idea it was going to be in Oklahoma City, and they did nothing about it. In fact, the FEMA guys, I mentioned this last week, the FEMA guys get called the day of and say, you know what, take a day off. I'll tell you what, why don't you plan on coming in about 10 o'clock, because we're probably going to need you then. But between now and 10, don't show up for, I don't know that they said that. But anyway, we know that for a fact. We know that immigration reform is a joke. There is an article on Politico. It says immigration reform could be a bonanza for Democrats. The immigration proposal pending in Congress would transform the nation's political landscape for a generation or more. In other words, we're going to take about 95% of the illegal people in this country. We're going to wave a magic wand over them, and as they're in the process of filling out their amnesty card, they're also registering to vote. Gotta love it. You gotta love it. The socialists that are running the show in Washington, D.C. right now are perpetuating their power by taking advantage of poor people coming into their country, making them vote. Who are they going to vote for? And then they're going to start taxing the internet. That's up for grabs. There's a bill right